Now, look, you made the joke of, or maybe not the joke of, hey, I wouldn't want to coach. Do you know that the GM survey just came out and they named you the most likely player to be a head coach?
Is that right?
Yes.
I appreciate it. But
He shut that down.
Yeah, that's out. Coach my AAU team. That's about
That's
it.
it? That's
about
all
it. Yeah.
Also, there was a making news yesterday from you, The Athletic, quoting you saying that the difference between playing, I'm reading this because I want to get it exactly right.
Okay.
The difference between playing for the Clippers and Rockets is that here, quote, no one is looking at you sideways for shooting a certain shot or complaining because they only took 3 shots.
Oh, my God. I ain't. Okay.
So
Somebody always trying to make a story. So Dan, you know Dan, that used to write for us in L.A.
Yeah.
What's Dan last name? Wilkie, right? So Dan was here and they had asked a question and we were talking about the way that we play, the style of play that we play here. And I was just telling them it was a game last year that Eric Gordon, I think, went like 0 for 9 from 3, then 0 for 8, and nobody cared. We don't care who shoots or how many shots we make or whatnot. And there were times there that, you know, in the NBA, sometimes you don't necessarily take a shot because you feel like you might have shot too many shots.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But there we go, somebody trying to make a story. So, and Dan was like, I know what you're talking about as far as guys like, should you have shot that? But somebody reaching.
You think the Clippers Rockets comparisons will ever leave you?
No.
Probably not. Probably not.
No.
But it's cool, man. It all makes for good stories. What was the Game of Zones thing with us in the locker room?
Yep.
You know what I mean? So
Listen, when you're the greatest player for a franchise, of course that's going to follow.
Well,
everybody's going to try to create a story.
But that was always, different stages in your life, and I loved my time there in L.A., and this is just, I'm here now.
Move on, people. He's a Rocket.
Okay, fine. But do not take my locker room tunnel secret agent story away from me. That is
Which
really
story?
fun.
What about?
Well, I know
that
that
nobody knew how to get back there.
Well, I want to believe. I want to believe the fairy tale version. Come on, don't take that away from me.
We all know about that.
I know.
Right?
Don't take it away from me. Let me have this.
It's cool.
Let me have something.
It makes
exactly.
for a great
There does no
story.
damage on the court. Let me have this. Trace was talking to you about your injury. You said, like, some of these injuries you've had, freak injuries, your thumb, that kind of thing. Though you play so hard, though, there are times I feel like his body is just, you go 120% every game.
Yeah.
Are you going to do anything through the course of this season to try to, I don't know if you can, but to try to be on the court for the whole playoffs, or it doesn't work that way?
Am I going to try? Yeah, I'm going to try.
Well, no, but can you go differently during the regular season?
No,
so that during the playoffs you're
I don't know how to do
not
that.
as vulnerable? I don't know how that works.
do that. I was in the game last night, and whether it's preseason, whatever, it's practice or whatever, like when you compete, there's no on and off button.
I think you make yourself more vulnerable that way to get hurt.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Like, for me, we have a great training staff, and talk about maintenance and massages and eating right, and Mac know all that different type stuff. So you control what you can control, and that's preparing.
Right.
So for me, am I gonna take games?
Can't cut back, Rachel.
Like, no.
I don't know. There's no.
And it's something we'll talk about with our team, and I know rest is a big thing that they talk about in our league or whatnot. But I'm gonna tell you, when you've been injured, and Mac knows, when you've been injured, whether it's hand, surgery, knee, ankle, whatever it is, when you are healthy enough to play, you have to take advantage of it. Like, I'm just saying, because when the game is taken away from you and you can't, it's one thing to not be able to play because you're injured, and it's another thing just to not play.
Right.
So when I'm able to play and willing, I want to hoop.
All right, we'll let you go, but I do got to ask you one last question. Who's going to win the NBA title this year, Chris Paul?
Man, let me tell you this. If you got anybody in my locker room who say anybody other than us, then they got to go.
Right.
They got to go. Right.
You guys feel it, though. This is not like just bravado. You feel you are a championship basketball team.
Absolutely, but it's, once again, it's the process. It starts back over. We don't just start at game 6 next year.
Right.
And I think that's why PJ, who's going to come up next, and having James and all these guys, we know it's the process, and we got to get back to grinding.